families can have secrets, but I never believed that there was a one secret in my family, more correctly, a secret that my own dad was keeping away from me and my mom for years. My name is Mike. This all happened about a year ago when I was 23 years old, now 24. I will give you a brief backstory about myself. While growing up, it was just me, my two parents, and I was the only child. Though throughout my childhood, I often wondered how would it have been like if I had a brother or a sister or even both. I'd even asked my parents once if I could have a sibling. My mom seems to like the idea, but my dad, he shut down immediately. He said, one child is enough for me. I was like 7 or 8 years old around the time. And if I had known back then that I have one or two siblings out there, I would have been thrilled. But now, I don't think so. Like I said, this happened around the summer 2024, around early June. At the time, I actually had already moved out about 4 years earlier. I moved out when I was 20 years old, and even though I do live by myself, I from time to time go back to my parents' house just to have dinner with them or just to spend time with them. And when I was very young, my dad worked for a business, but for now, I don't think he even still works for that business anymore. You may understand why. Anyways, like I said, early June 2024 of the summer, I was actually, well, I was actually on a solo trip. I have been to this town before, sometimes with some friends, but this time I decided to go myself. And when I was in town, I just walked around in the middle of the town, and then when I was in one particular store, I saw someone. At first, I didn't even know well, if I saw it correctly, but as I looked closer, sure enough, it was my dad. Though at the time I knew for a fact that he was in this town for business. And sometimes he stayed at the hotel when he was in this particular for his business trips. And I thought maybe he was just had finished his business for today and but he was walking with a woman. And he usually goes to work in a suit. But now he was in casual clothing. And the woman was around the same age as him. And at first, maybe I thought that was just a friend of his. But then they were actually holding hands, kissing, laughing. I was shocked. So I decided to somehow leaving the store and I followed them in a distance so that he would even notice me. I actually followed them to this neighborhood and they literally walked to this house and I saw these two young kids. Like they were like around my age. I think the older one could have been as early 20s, the other one is just also around early 20 years old. One was a guy, one is a girl. I never thought this was possible. But somehow, I was hiding behind some bushes so they'd even see me. After they had gone inside, I stood there for at least a brief moment before I walked away, puzzled, dumbfounded. I was like, what did I just saw? And after that, I couldn't even get out this from my mind. And my entire solo trip went from a relaxing time to questioning times. Even when I got home to my apartment, I was really stunned. I had no idea what happened. I mean, I could just simply call my parents and even ask them about this if my mom knows about this, but it seems if I did, she may have known about it or not, but or even calling my dad directly, demand to know. But there also is a chance that he may even have lied, or even came up with excuses. So I decided to keep it quiet for a while. So I decided to collect some evidence. Every time when he went to that particular town, I always went back there myself. Maybe shortly afterwards, try to collect enough evidence. I also sometimes even like hiding behind some bushes, took some photos of the house where my dad walked in, and all the time I was there, sure enough, he went there and left the house, kissing the woman and said goodbye to them. And I was stunned. I have never even in my life thought of my dad would have a double life. Yeah, you heard me right. My dad was having a double life. And I managed to track down the list, figure out the name of the one who lived in the house. When I looked on to a city record, turned out my dad used his real name, or at least his first name, but a different last name. I was speechless. When I saw the marriage certificates, they apparently was even married around the same time as my dad married my mom. And when I find out that the daughter was 22, only 2 years younger than me, and the son was only like 4 years younger than me, he was 20 years old. And that those names were Laura and Adam. They were my half sister and my half brother. I was stunned. But yet, I still didn't even approach my dad about this or even inform my mom. Why? Well, I needed some more evidence. So, the next step was probably go to try to record more of this or maybe approach the family directly. So, I decided to approach Adam and Laura. So one day, when I saw that their mom left, I walked to the house and knocked on the door and had them open the doors, of course. And he was like, "Yes, what can I do for you?" "Hi, this might be a shock, but my name is Mike, and I'm actually your older half brother." "Half brother? What do you mean?" At the time, Laura came downstairs and heard all this conversation. "Hey, Adam, who is it?" Someone claimed to be our older half brother." "Half brother? That must be strange, but I don't even have another brother. Can I come in?" I mean, being rather being talking inside for your neighbors to see this. Yeah, sure. So we went into the living room, and I presented information that all this. I actually brought some old photos of me, my dad, and along, and also family photos with me, my dad, and my mom. Because if I even had it, sure they wouldn't even have believed me otherwise. Because if I hadn't, they'd probably ask me, "Do you have any proof, like photos or anything?" So I did present them a small photos that I had with me, and they were speechless. "Wait, how old are you?" 24. "So you're 2 years younger than me, and 4 years older than me. So yeah, wait, your dad is married to your mom legally?" "Yeah, he actually married her just before I was even born." "But that means he married our mom just shortly after you were born?" I was like, "Yeah, it seems like it, but Does your mom even know about this? I don't think so. At least, I assume at least that she doesn't. And assume your mom doesn't even know either. No? Have you ever asked your dad where he goes every time so often? Why he's away for so long time? Yeah, he said that he's doing some business, that he travel, and that takes him away from most of the time. Yeah, it's the same for me, he said. I said to them, this is weird, said Adam. You're telling me? I mean, I have always believed that all of this was maybe, well, a misunderstanding. The first time I saw my dad with your mom in town, I first thought maybe that he was a friend of her, a friend of his, or maybe a colleague or something. But they were holding hands, kissing. It was really strange. It was really off-putting, if I had to say that. Both Laura and Adam nodded and said, "Yeah, if that were they were friends, they would even hold hands." That's true. So, what should we do? Said Adam. Should we just pretend that this never happened? I mean, we could confront your mom or at least tell her about this, but yeah, I don't think this is probably for the best. How about this? I asked. How about we tell? How about we confront our dad with our moms so that he can make a lie an excuse? You know what? That might actually be a good idea, but also a bit risky. I mean, is it better just to do it anyways? I mean, how would you feel if you're knowing that our dad has a double life, married a second woman, and that we have an older brother, and pretend that this never happened? Hmm, you had a good point, Laura. All right, so I got their phone number and I went home, and I decided maybe to take my mom shortly sometime afterwards. And after a couple of weeks, I decided maybe it was time. So I had told Adam and Laura the day before that I will be coming over with my mom to that town for a visit. And the cover story that me and my mom was going to there for just for a trip. So, and I will take over to see that I wanted her to meet someone. So they agreed. So the day after that my dad had left, me and my mom went to the town in the cover of her believing this was just a family trip, just the two of us. But when I went to this particular street, she wondered even, what are you doing here? Oh, I'm actually here to allow you to meet someone. She was actually curious and maybe thought maybe it was a girlfriend or something. It's nothing like that, but you will see. So I went to the door, knocked, and Adam opened. Oh, hey, Mike. And Laura actually came around the corner and said, oh, hey, Mike. So, is your dad home? Both nodded, and they let me inside along with my mom, and my dad and Laura's and Adam's mom was sitting in the living room. I was like, you just walk around the corner and say, oh, hey, Dad. Laura's and Adam's mom was hostile, like, Dad, she even said. And my dad was, when he saw me, he went completely pale. Mike, what on earth are you doing here? He said, almost in shock. Well, isn't it funny that I actually am here to see you, and that knowing for a fact that I'm here knowing that I have a younger brother and younger sister, and that you are married to a single woman, Dad. When that happened, just then, my mom walked around the corner, and Laura's and Adam's mom, when she heard this second woman, and when she saw my mom, she flipped out. Not only at my mom, but also at my dad. My dad, he was, well, still sitting down on the couch, pale. His second wife starts screaming at him, demanded to know what the freaking world is happening. I said calmly, I can tell you exactly what's been happening here. If you just calm down and I will explain. And she luckily did and sat down. My dad, once again, still didn't say much. He just sat there, sweating and pale. So I just said, well, first of all, my name is Mike. I am, well, it's like I said, I his oldest son. I'm 24, so 23, so I'm older than Laura and Adam. And this is my mom and my dad's first wife. And my mom telling my dad's second wife that it's true. They actually got married in one particular day that year when I was born, or at least just a couple of months before I was even born. And turns out that my dad and his second wife, Laura's and Adam's mom, got married just only about a couple of months after I was even born. I was surprised of that. But his second wife started asking more questions like, how long we had known this? My mom said she didn't even know any of this. And I said, I had known it for only for a couple of weeks. My dad went even paler because of that. He even said, how did you find out? By a random accident, I guess. I was in town here, just on a solo trip, saw you with your second wife, and I just followed you after you along the street and until his house. I started to follow you around, take some photos, like investigating, like a private investigator would do. Just that, and afterwards, I approached Adam and Laura at the house to inform them, and we made this plan to happen so that we can confront you. And if you don't believe it, my mom then asked what I had in mind. Well, this. I presented over of some photos to my dad's second wife, Adam's and Laura's dead mom. There was old family photos, same one I showed both Adam and Laura. This should be enough evidence for you to believe us. And when she looked at them, and she could see there were those old cameras that had, well, the date on them. Sure enough, they were. But at the same time, my dad tried to make some excuses. But it didn't even work. He tried to say, I'm sorry, but this was like, it's not like what you think it is. But I said, Dad, did you not know that is it illegal to be married to two different women or different partners in the States? Don't you even know that? Even though I'm not a law student, but I know basic that. And once again, his second wife started getting pretty upset about what happened. And I said, Dad, all my trust for you are all gone. I don't trust anything about you anymore. And my dad felt defeated. He come clean. Yes, it's true. And it turns out that my dad actually had been in love with his second wife even a couple of months before he married my mom. And he actually even had proposed to her before he proposed to my mom, which I didn't even know about. But they didn't even got married until after he married my mom. So my mom said she couldn't even believe it. That not only that he'd been cheating on her with another woman for over 20 years, and it was the most shocking. Even she said her trust for my dad was all gone. And she had only said one other word: divorce. And since his second wife wouldn't have to say a divorce because it wasn't even a legal marriage. Not to make the whole story long enough, my dad was kicked out from my mom's home, and they did get a divorce, and he was even kicked out from his former ex second wife's home, and I cut ties with my dad as well. I blocked his call numbers and all that. Even Laura and Adam did the same thing. Even when dad's company find out about this, that he has been cheating on during his business trips for over 20 years, they were stunned, shocked, and, well, upset. He was still working for the business, but he was pretty much demoted and was just an ordinary employee. And what happened between my mom and his second wife, well, former second wife, well, let's say for one thing, my mom actually became a good friend with Adam and Laura's mom, and sometimes they even went over to see each other for trips and just all that. And my relationship with my dad, well, it doesn't exist anymore. I don't even talk to him anymore. And if will I? Maybe not. Who knows? But what about Laura and Adam? Well, for one thing, knowing that now I have a younger brother and a younger sister, and we have like over 20 years to catch up on things, and I have to say though, this is one of the good things that came out of all this, all the complete mess. I love to have a brother and a sister. In fact, we sometimes even meet up from time to time, well, for holidays. One time we actually went over to their house to celebrate their Christmas or Thanksgiving or something like that. There was something like that we had planned that we could do. I actually became more closer to both of them. And even though Adam did tell me once that our dad tried to reach him, but he said, I don't want to have nothing to do with a cheater who has lost his trust from his family. So don't ever try to reach out to me or my sister or my older brother or even our mom. And my mom, well, after this complete mess, it took her about a year before she decided to find someone new. And has she? Yep, she did. She actually found a man from at work, someone that I actually met for a while in my childhood. He was actually a family friend. I even saw him like almost like an uncle. But now I would see him more like second dad. You may wonder why. Well, he actually proposed to my mom shortly about early December 2024. So they actually might even get married sometimes in the summer of 2025. So I may have lost my biological father, but gain a stepfather. I was even considering him as my real dad, and not the other one. So yeah, I may have gained a new dad, but also got a half brother and a half sister, something I always wondered if I would ever had. So yeah, this is my story about my dad's double life mess. So yeah, and to my former dad, let us never meet again.